Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all so much for joining us today for our annual Golden Goggles webinar. We are so thrilled to introduce you all to the 2025 winners of the Golden Goggles and welcome them to share their experiences in bringing their labs online, on campus, and really invigorating their students with a hands-on laboratory experience. For those of you who are not familiar with Science Interactive, we've been around for over 30 years, supporting students both on campus and online in having hands-on laboratory experiences. For those who have worked with us before, you've likely used our hands-on lab kits and curriculum, which really allows students who are working remotely to have that opportunity to experience hands-on labs in real time, even though they can't be in that traditional laboratory environment. However, we also support a number of programs through support of their hybrid laboratories, as well as their on-campus laboratories through our virtual pre-labs, as well as our on-campus lab kits. But I'm not going to talk too much about us today. I am actually more excited to share with you our Golden Goggles Award winners. The Golden Goggles Awards are an annual opportunity for Science Interactive to really recognize educators who are leading the pack in bringing science education, particularly online science education, to their students. And so this year we have a number of honorees that we will be introducing to you, including our Health Science Educator of the Year, Lisa Jones, our Pedagogy Pioneer of the Year, Dr. Carl Bailey, our Online Academic Leader of the Year, Beth Taylor Nolan, our Online Program Pioneer of the Year, Doane University, with Erin May and Dr. Andrea Holmes, as well as our Campus Lab Champion of the Year, Dr. Charles Marietta. This afternoon, we'll have each of our speakers share a little bit of how they're incorporating labs into their courses, whether that be on campus or online. And then at the end, we'll take any questions you may have. Excuse me. So please do feel free to add those to the chat or to the Q&A so we can answer those at the end. Now, to kick things off today, we are excited to introduce Lisa Jones. Lisa Jones is an accomplished pharmacy technician educator with over 20 years of experience in pharmacy technician operations and academic program leadership. She currently serves as a pharmacy technician academic program coordinator at Aiken Technical College and contributes nationally as an item writer to PTCB and NHA certification exams. Her professional work is driven by a commitment to student success, pharmacy education excellence, and public health advocacy. Lisa, I'll hand the mic over to you.
Thank you. I am truly honored to be recognized as the Health Science Educator of the Year by Science Interactive. This award holds deep meaning for me as it reflects the dedication and passion I bring to preparing the next generation of pharmacy technicians. At Aiken Technical College, I have the privilege of leading the Pharmacy Technician Certificate Program, where I do work closely with up to 12 students per cohort, with 2 cohorts each academic year in the fall and spring semesters. I facilitate a full curriculum that includes both foundational and advanced courses, such as the Introduction to Pharmacy, Pharmacy Math 1 and 2, Therapeutic Agents 1 and 2, Pharmacy Practice, Computer Applications in Pharmacy, Special Topics in Pharmacy, Pharmacy Technician Practicals 1 and 2, and the Community Pharmacy Seminar. My instructional approach is dynamic and student-centered. I do combine hybrid, online, and experiential learning experiences that connect students directly to practical sites where they apply their knowledge in real-world pharmacy settings. This reward doesn't just celebrate my work, it celebrates the growth and commitment of my students and the strength of my partnership with Science Interactive. Their simulation-based tools have truly elevated the hands-on learning opportunities I can offer. Thank you again for this recognition. It's a meaningful affirmation of the work I'm doing to help shape confident, capable, and career-ready pharmacy technicians. One of the most exciting advancements I've brought to the pharmacy technician program at Aiken Technical College has been the integration of Science Interactive kits. These tools have significantly elevated the way I prepare students for the workplace. The kits are helping me transform pharmacy technician education by delivering real-world hands-on experience to students, whether they're learning on campus or remotely. First, I focus on real-world skills development. These kits bridge the gap between classroom theory and practical application. My students aren't just reading about pharmacy tasks, they're performing them. This builds both competence and confidence. With virtual simulations for complex scenarios, students are exposed to clinical decision making, problem solving, and critical thinking, all in a safe, structured environment. It's been a game changer in helping them apply knowledge in those real world situations. The medication preparation and dispensing practice components allow students to work with simulated medications and supplies. They master essential skills like compounding, labeling, and dosage calculations, which are all aligned with current pharmacy standards. I also incorporate workflow simulations, including medication reconciliation and the use of automated dispensing systems to mirror what students will experience in both retail and hospital settings. This gives them a strong foundation before they enter their externship or their professional roles. Importantly, the Science Interactive curriculum ensures alignment with industry standards, helping me to meet with those ASHP accreditation competencies and graduate students who are both job ready and certification prepared. This hands-on blended learning approach has not only enhanced the quality of education I provide, it has also transformed my students into confident professionals fully prepared to thrive in today's fast-paced and evolving healthcare environment. As with any new and innovative approach, implementing the Science Interactive kits and virtual simulations into my program came with its own set of challenges, but I wasn't intentional and proactive in finding solutions that truly work for my students. One of the first hurdles I encountered was that many students, especially returning adult learners, were unfamiliar with virtual simulations. To help them adjust, I introduced mandatory getting started sessions that included lab safety lessons, how to guides, and video tutorials to build confidence and being familiar with the content. Another challenge was that students often struggled to balance hands-on lab work with other responsibilities. So knowing this, I created structured weekly schedules with built-in checkpoints and open lab hours, which allowed students to manage their time more effectively while also staying engaged with the content. Lastly, I noticed that keeping motivation high in a blended format where I'm combining virtual and independent lab components required extra support. So I incorporated peer collaboration sessions, post-lab reflections, and weekly achievement recognitions to foster connections, accountability, and encouragement. This helps to create a learning environment that supports not only skills development, but also long-term success and confidence in their professional journey. One of the most rewarding aspects of incorporating Science Interactive into my pharmacy technician program has been the impact it's had on my teaching experience and effectiveness. By using these tools, I've streamlined the lab preparation process, which meant I spent far less time gathering materials and setting up, and more time focusing on meaningful instruction. The kits and the simulation also ensured that students have a consistent learning experience, regardless of their background or schedule. Their consistency allowed me to better track their progress and tailor my support where it's needed most. Because of the logistics are simplified, I've been able to dedicate more of my time to teaching, coaching, and engaging directly with students, rather than managing supplies or troubleshooting lab setups. Another huge benefit is that materials are prepackaged and aligned with industry standards, which gives me the confidence that I'm not only teaching what's required, but also preparing students for real world expectations. When I measure student success in my program, I look beyond test scores. I focus on how well students are prepared to enter the workforce and apply what they've learned with confidence. So since integrating Science Interactive tools and resources, I've seen a good improvement in practical skills development. Students are more hands-on and comfortable with tasks that mirror what they're expected to perform in an actual pharmacy setting. I've also noticed significant growth in critical thinking and problem solving. These scenarios provided in the kit challenge students to make those real-time decisions, to work through complications and think like technicians and not just learners. Because of the training, my students are now better prepared for entry-level pharmacy roles. They understand the expectations, the workflow, and the importance of precision and professionalism. This experience has also helped to increase their confidence in those real world scenarios. I often hear from clinical preceptors that our students stand out because they are already familiar with terminology, procedures, and proper technique. One of the most rewarding indicators for me is the higher engagement and course satisfaction I've seen across the board. Students are a lot more excited to learn. They're more eager to complete labs and more invested in their success. So this kind of helped, and adopting these have truly made a difference for both the students and for the pharmacy community that we're serving. One of the most rewarding aspects of using Science Interactive in my program has been hearing directly from the students about the impact it's had on their learning experience. Many of them have shared that simulations have made learning more engaging and hands-on. One student mentioned how it helped them practice real pharmacy skills like compounding and dosage calculations, and that they felt more confident heading into the clinicals because of it. Another student shared that being able to learn at their own pace made a big difference. The visual and interactive components helped them to better understand challenging topics like sterile compounding and drug classifications. I've also had some others that told me that interactive labs were a game changer, allowing them to apply classroom concepts to real world situations in which that kind of connection really deepens the understanding and builds that confidence. And for many, the platform provided exactly what they needed to feel ready for externship because they weren't just reading about pharmacy work, they were actually doing it. So these testimonies are a powerful reminder that when I invest in tools that meet students where they are, I'm not just teaching. I'm transforming lives. I'm preparing future healthcare professionals to succeed. So for me, that's the real measure of success, not just as an instructor, but as a mentor and advocate for future pharmacy technicians. Utilizing these tools with Science Interactive, I've been able to create a more engaging and skill-based and supportive learning environment, one that prepares the students to thrive in today's healthcare and workforce. So I do thank you for allowing me to share that journey and the impact it has had both on my students and for my own personal growth as an educator.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and congratulations again. We really appreciated hearing more about your pharmacy technician courses and how you're approaching bringing that hands-on experience to your students. Our next winner is Dr. Carl Bailey from Clark College. He's a professor of chemistry with nearly 19 years of experience transforming STEM education through equity-based strategies for student access and success. He holds a PhD in organic chemistry from UC Davis and is specialized in process-oriented guided inquiry learning, or POGIL, pedagogy, for over 20 years. His innovative teaching methods include Quality Matters certified online courses, discovery-based laboratory experiences, and course-based undergraduate research opportunities. Carl, I'll hand things over to you.
Thanks, Kate. I appreciate being recognized with this incredible group of colleagues. Shout out to my Science Interactive colleagues as well, Kate, Amanda, John, and many others for the content and implementation support. They've been incredible and responsive partners on my journey. I specialize in pre-health professions chemistry and biochemistry, as Kate mentioned. My courses are using the active learning technique called POGIL, been that way since about the 2000s. Unique to my teaching is actually I do asynchronous online POGIL as well, using Canvas groups to structure those peer-to-peer interactions and foster that just-in-time teaching approach for my instruction. Next slide, please, Kate. Thanks. Moving my POGIL classroom online, I wanted to retain those strong in-person connections, those peer-to-peer connections, and those experiences. Hands-on lab science, as we know, is the heart of learning, and Science Interactive made that possible with robust and customizable lab kits and an accessible online portal with high quality engagement. Everything was already Quality Matters certified, like my own courses. I live in Vancouver, Washington. The Washington State School for the Blind and the State School for the Deaf are literally blocks away from our campus. So accessibility is paramount for us for offering the most robust and accessible learning experiences for our students. The lab kits we used have beakers test tubes, thermometers, mass balances, pH meters, everything our students would have on access to on our own campuses. We chose hands-on labs from Science Interactive's content repository to complement what we were already doing on campus to give our students the one-for-one experience in the online. We're currently developing a new lab sequence for this population of student centered on environmental and climate justice. This is coming directly out of the nursing educator and professional literature right now. And we look forward to building that online lab component with Science Interactive and their cross-discipline content lab offerings. Next slide. Doing labs online, like doing labs on campus, is always best when you align your content with the lab experiences themselves to make those meaningful connections, which lab's meant to do. For many of my students online, this is their first exposure ever to chemistry and perhaps even lab science. And that can be very nerve-wracking and cause a lot of anxiety. I feel like we can be warm demanders in that process, and we can provide structure and flow for our students. At the same time, help them develop those habits of mind, develop doing hands-on labs, and unpack some of that hidden curriculum in higher education. Letting students know, for example, that online labs could take them longer than, say, the on-campus student complement. And letting them know it's okay to break up those labs over more than one lab sitting, not just try and power through it, so it fits into their actual lives itself. Science Interactive has done a really nice job in the chemistry labs to break out the pre-lab and actual lab experimentation from the post-lab evaluation, nicely scaffolding that for students to know they can go in, do an hour or two in a lab one day, finish all that lab wet work, and come back a different day to do those post-lab reflections and evaluations. I think we can also remind our students that, lab rarely goes perfectly. That's just how science works. So we can support that growth mindset and that resilience as they work through our courses, things that we all had to work on as undergraduates. I think the more we can show our human side to students and let them be human, the better it is for everybody. Next, there we go. Most of my students work close to full time. Many are caregivers, either at home or professionally. They bring vibrant voices and lived experiences into my course. And so I do everything I can to make learning social in my course, connect the learning as much as I can with them and with the content, and then, support those desirable difficulties that often come up with chemistry and biochemistry. We can help our students see that they already have the skills needed for success in our courses. The hands-on labs certainly support a lot of that, and then help channel those superpowers that they bring to my course to be successful in my course, and then translate that to other courses in their pathway. I think one thing often left out in discussion about doing lab science online is that we're bringing this into the students' personal lives. There's a physical lab happening in their homes and in their communities. And by centering this, we can foster an experience for them, one that may have an ability to destigmatize STEM and be more inclusive to bring others, into lab science later on. The second order effects of having somebody in the home watching a loved one do a lab at the kitchen table, or in the backyard, can help inspire them maybe to pursue lab science or play with that lab kit, after the term. So there's a learning value after the term, having these lab kits available to my students, maybe to inspire somebody in the home to do a, middle school or high school science fair project, that kind of a thing. So again, knowing who our students are helps us engage with them better with these hands-on labs. An online course is a learning community, and I embrace that as much as I can, as often as I can. I do pre-lab lectures as I would have on an on-campus situation. I try to make those high-level content connections, lab-specific information, sample data if it helps connect the dots there, show them the arc of their learning, right, andragogy, everything I can do to connect that. But you can also do other things like having a weekly lab chat, where students can connect lecture content with the lab content. You could host virtual lab office hours once a week, sit in my office on Thursday on Zoom, and they can check in and out and do lab questions. Anything I can do to support the lab. And there's many opportunities in a lab that's online with students to engage them with that. And again, remind students that the science of the process, we're doing lab for the first time. This is not easy stuff. And then allow them to take some credit for doing something that's challenging them in their abilities. And again, they're always acquiring knowledge, skills, and abilities. So show them that they can actually take what they learned that last lab, apply it to the new lab, and they're building these things across the term, not just being evaluated week after week. Some of my greatest teachers over the years have been my students. I'm in their discussions weekly. I see what's going on. I give them all kinds of feedback during and after learning on their assignments. And I survey them weekly. I ask them to reflect, and I put back, muddiest points to help close that loop on the learning. They know that I care about their learning and about, how they're learning, not just what they're learning. So starting from the student perspective as much as I can, especially when it comes to doing labs at home, as I've mentioned, using that beginner's mind to understand where they might be having issues, need that support, and then helping provide that support for them. And to build the wonder of discovery, as much as I can into my course. And online, hands-on labs is the way we can really do that to make the content come alive. I'll also say, co-develop ideas and solutions to support the learning and seek like-minded colleagues at your institution or other institutions, and also outside of your discipline. I have a colleague that teaches CS50, which is Python programming, and we go back and forth all the time about how we work with our students online and how we can keep engaging that learning to going. So again, everything you can do to share the joy will help you go a little bit further with your students. And then as you read these student quotes that come from my students, naturally students will look at the cost of the lab kit, which some of you may wonder, and ask, well, okay, this is expensive lab kit. What am I getting with this? Again, you're getting a robust hands-on lab experience, so you can certify that you have those lab skills. But also I remind students, you're not coming to campus. You're not finding parking, putting gas in the car. You're not looking for childcare, taking time off of work to do this. You can do this in your own home. So there's an exchange that's happening that allows you to do the hands-on hours that you're required to do for state transfer credit, at home at your own pace. And students really see that. They love the quality of these kits. They love they're actually working with these kits. And many of them, as you can see in the remarks, absolutely enjoy the process of science. Because of tight schedules, some of my students have to come to campus to do anatomy and physiology, but they're doing my lab at home with these lab kits. And they're offering, it's a one-for-one for them in many ways for this. So I really appreciate, what we do there. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carl, and congratulations again. Our next winner is Dr. Beth Taylor Nolan from the University of New England. Dr. Taylor Nolan serves as the Dean of UNE Online in the College of Professional Studies, where she leads efforts to expand access to graduate education and professional development. Her Ed.D. from the University of Vermont focused on first-generation college students, research that informs her commitment to supporting marginalized and non-traditional student populations. With over a decade of experience in higher education administration, she specializes in program development, student advising, and removing barriers to educational access. So Beth, I'll hand things over to you.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank you so much for this award. I very much appreciate this honor and our ongoing partnership with Science Interactive. The Science Interactive team's expertise in developing the highest quality experiences for our pre-health students is so central to meeting our students' educational needs and in turn meeting our college enrollment and revenue goals. At every step of the way, the Science Interactive team has worked closely with my team to improve our content, learning outcomes, and student satisfaction. So you can see here, the College of Professional Studies is a living proof of UNE's mission, and our fully online programs are designed to extend the university's academic and student support resources to an increasingly global and diverse student population. Next slide, please. Two of our largest programs and our most successful programs that utilize virtual and hands-on lab kits are our post-baccalaureate pre-health certificate program and our science prerequisites for the health professions. These are very high volume programs with every 2 weeks a new cohort starting enrollment in our global programs. So you can imagine a strong and vibrant partnership with Science Interactive is critically important. I'd like to also give a huge shout out to our Science Interactive customer service team. As you can imagine, it's not unusual for our students to wait to register for the very last minute and to place their order. And Science Interactive always delivers, and we really appreciate that strong partnership. Next slide, please. So this slide speaks to our enrollment and speaks to our student and our customers' confidence in our product, not only our academic product, but our laboratory experiences. So as you can see, we've had steady growth, over 5,000 student enrollments, over 24,000 student credit hours, and that really equals a solid program, happy students, and in my case, a happy provost and a happy CFO who likes the outcomes of our program. So we've taken an interdisciplinary and cross-functional approach to course development and redevelopment. And some key takeaways here are involve your stakeholders. We've had formal and informal meetings with our professional staff, instructional designers, faculty, and our Science Interactive colleagues, where we've gone through our curriculum, we've gone through our student experiences, and we've incorporated this best practice and feedback into course and laboratory redevelopment. We also encourage our faculty and our laboratory instructors to be curious. I want to know why our students are succeeding, and most often why they're not succeeding is something that we can course correct. We like to take on challenges without blame, of course. We like to investigate and solve problems, and we like to stay on the side of student success and remain positive about our students' virtual course, didactic, as well as their laboratory experiences. Here are some obvious or maybe not so obvious tactics, and my personal favorite is our try again philosophy. When I first got to UNE, I took the time to review our course outcomes, our withdrawal rates, grades, and I became very focused on our student retention. And I wondered why so many students were maybe not crossing the finish line with our online courses and our virtual labs. And so we spent a lot of time in this process. And so what we did was we invested in a redevelopment strategy, allowing students to retake an exam, to rewrite a lab report, to redo a lab experiment. And that philosophy has really paid off. Our students are doing much better. And finally, here are some quotes from our students who are enrolled in our virtual lab courses. They seem to be very happy and satisfied customers, and that's a real testament to our relationship with Science Interactive. So once again, thank you so much for this award and the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Beth, and congratulations again. Our next winners is for Doane University, and we'll be featuring today Dr. Andrea Holmes and Erin May. Erin May is Director of Extended Learning Opportunities at Doane University. She holds a BS in Secondary English and a Master's of Education in Educational Leadership with 13 plus years of administrative and recruitment experience in higher education. She specializes in the development and growth of online non-degree programs related to STEM and career and technical education. She is passionate about reducing barriers for students and increasing accessibility to higher education through online programs. Dr. Andrea Holmes is the professor of chemistry and the coordinator of online learning at Doane University. She's an organic chemist with a PhD from New York University and postdoctoral training at Columbia University. Her research specializes in drug detection methods, sensor design, and molecular analysis with particular focus on nanotechnology applications. She secured multi-million-dollar funding from the NIH and NSF for innovative projects and currently serves as an expert consultant on Department of Defense CBRNE projects. Erin and Andrea, I'll pass things over to you.
Well, thank you, Kate. And I want to say thank you, Science Interactive, for this award and acknowledging the work that we're doing here at Doane University. Doane University is a very small liberal arts institution in the Midwest. And while we are tiny, we do have a pretty robust online program. We serve over 4,000 students a year. We offer over 300 sections, and we offer 40 courses focused in STEM that are delivered 100% asynchronous with lab components in many of these courses. Next slide. As I mentioned, we're primarily STEM focused, so the student population that we serve are adult learners or post-bac students who are seeking degrees in the sciences or meeting prerequisites to attend medical school. We really wanted to ensure that our program offered the accessibility this particular student demographic required. As many other award winners mentioned, There's a lot of adult learners who are working full-time or part-time, and they were really required that flexibility in schedule and modality. And it's really difficult for a lot of students to be able to access STEM-focused courses in 100% online asynchronous format. The program that I'll primarily be talking today about is the Open Learning Academy. It's offered through our Extended Learning Opportunities program. And the focus of this discussion is really about our chemistry portfolio that we deliver online. Although we have a number of courses and types of courses, this particular session is going to focus on the redevelopment of our chemistry courses, which we offer across a number of terms. We have several start dates. We offer them in multiple formats across 5 weeks, 8 weeks, 16 weeks. And we're also moving into the self-paced format versus just offering the paced format. A lot of student feedback recently has been that they really require that ability for more flexibility around due dates and timelines. And so we're going to be moving into the self-paced format for this upcoming academic year. The courses that Dr. Andrea Holmes will speak at a little bit more in length are really the general chemistry 1 and 2, organic chemistry, biochemistry, and pharmacology courses that have lab components. But before we could really start working on the design and revision of what we wanted our chemistry curriculum to look like online, we really had to identify the objectives and goals of our program. And because we're a small institution, our faculty primarily teach on ground for our students in a very traditional format and a traditional student population. And so we really wanted to ensure that this population for our post-bac learners or our adult learners were still being served in a way that was equitable. And a part of that component was really the lab component that Science Interactive was able to provide us. We also had some other objectives. We wanted to make sure that all of the learning objectives that students learned on ground, they were learning online. We also wanted to ensure that there was faculty consensus. And so we really steered away from allowing only one faculty member from developing a course kind of in a silo. We worked in collaborative groups. We identified what the consensus would be for that course and learning objectives. And we also identified what some of the non-negotiables were for the chemistry department and what we wanted to ensure were in all of our online courses. We really wanted this to be reflective, again, as the same experiences as a non-ground student would receive. And we also wanted to make sure that we weren't having just kind of these plug and play online courses that a lot of faculty sometimes feel really negative about. And so we wanted to ensure that every faculty member who teaches an online course still has the faculty autonomy to make sure that that course is reflective of them and the way that they like to teach and their style. And so those were some real non-negotiables that we wanted to incorporate into our chemistry portfolio. And so as a part of that online development process, we developed a framework that we've really been able to apply across all of our course builds for our online programs. One, we wanted to ensure that the quality and design were accessible. We made sure that any third-party tool that we used was vetted by our ADA compliance specialist. We wanted each department to identify an online coordinator. And in this case, it's Dr. Andrea Holmes. This was really essential to the execution of our online curriculum in a sense that Andrea made sure that assets were delivered on time, that the faculty developers were keeping their build on time, but also working collaboratively with our instructional designers. We also had a non-negotiable of that every first build required faculty to work with one of our instructional designers that's certified in quality matters. This was to ensure that, again, the courses were designed so that they could be accessible, and then also that there was a cohesive feel across our chemistry curriculum. So if a student was taking Organic Chemistry 1, there was a cohesive feel when they enrolled in Organic Chemistry 2. So that was really important for us to feel like there was a sense of Doane University online. We also wanted to make sure that we established a revision cycle. I think a lot of times when courses are developed for online, they can become stale or stagnant really quickly. And so we wanted to ensure that we implemented a revision cycle that allowed faculty to go back and revisit the textbook and the curriculum and all of the modules that we've developed. And I will say, while we've established a revision cycle, it does seem like since we have an online curriculum coordinator, that revisions are kind of constantly happening term to term. And it's really essential to have a coordinator in place to ensure those updates are executed across all of our curriculum. And then the last piece was that we wanted to ensure that we had proper student services in place for all of our online students. So we wanted to ensure that we had a tutoring service that could help our students 24/7. And that we also wanted to ensure that we were maintaining the rigor of our online courses. I think a lot of times there's this idea that online courses are easier than on ground. And that maybe there's cheating happening in our online classes. And so it was really essential to ensure that exams, midterms were also being proctored, to ensure that we had that level of quality that was really important to our on-ground faculty. And so now Dr. Andrea Holmes is going to talk to you a little bit more in depth about what that chemistry curriculum redevelopment process looked like.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Andrea Holmes here, tenured professor at Doane University, worked there since 2005. And in 2023, we made a shift and an active decision to shift my role into the online environment, where I became the online coordinator of all of our chemistry courses. And this was a major shift for the university to really assure that there's alignment between the residential campus as well as our online programs. And it also allowed us to really open up the channels of communications and really allowing the faculty to have a full commitment to how these courses are being run online. The strategy when I came on in 2023 to restructure the chemistry curriculum was multi-pronged. For example, we needed to make sure all of these courses were completely revamped from scratch. That meant working very, very hard with the instructional design team to make the courses fully ADA compliant, to make sure that we're enabling very rigorous and robust proctoring services, change all of the textbooks, put in new ADA compliant videos from instructors that are innovative, that are neat and instructive. We replaced all of the assignments. We made new quizzes, new final exams with robust databases that can easily be exchanged to prevent academic dishonesty. We added new discussions. And then for the purpose of today's webinar, we audited a lot of different third-party providers regarding lab experiences, and we settled on Science Interactive as our institutional partner for this purpose. Next slide, please. So why did we decide to pick Science Interactive? There were multiple reasons when we evaluated the services of third-party lab providers. Number one, when we looked at all of the offerings for the chemistry courses, we quickly realized that the online program offerings that Science Interactive has, these labs were in complete alignment of the on-ground courses. So basically, we could create an online lab that has the exact same labs embedded that we would also do on ground. This is extremely important for students to get the experiential learning, the hands-on. This edition of Science Interactive hands-on experiences also earned us the acceptance of equivalence by my colleagues in the department. And then, of course, it's always very important for students that these courses get transferred. So having these experiential learning labs in our courses made the course transferability much, much easier. But the most important reason why we picked Science Interactive Labs is because we did not just build a transactional relationship as it occurs with many third-party providers of services, but this is truly, truly a partnership. We have each other's contact information on our cell phones. When something happens, quick text, a quick phone call, quick responses, interactions, troubleshooting. When things happen over the weekend, such as a final exam and students aren't able to access the labs, we have a partner that we can rely on. And that was for us the most important part, that we partnered with Science Interactive Labs. Next slide, please. Since many of my colleagues here co-hosting the webinar are familiar with Science Interactive, we all know what the lab kits look like. But for those of you in the audience, these quality labs are really, really neat. They get shipped directly to the house of the student. There is a customizable curriculum for these labs, and all of them are built with safety in mind. So they come with gloves, they come with goggles, and then also detailed instructions on how to dispose of any small-scale hazardous byproducts or chemicals. And of course, there's also a lab safety module included in this whole training. Next slide. What does this look like from the student side? So when the student enrolls in our courses, we actually open the course 1 week prior to when the actual course begins. And this gives the student enough time to get familiar with Science Interactive, how to order the lab kit. And then once they actually purchase the lab kit, they can go right away and start with a couple of beginning modules, such as getting started. That gets the student familiarized with the whole platform, how to log into the Canvas platform and then connect to the lab portal. The experiments that we have picked, we picked per class about one digital lab, and we placed that at the very beginning of the term so that students have plenty of time to get the lab kit to their house and then do 3 to 4 hands-on on labs at home. The labs can differ anywhere from 2 hours to, and sometimes they run overnight. It just really depends on the lab experiments. And then when the student is finished with the experiment, they take photos, they fill out data tables, they answer questions, they do pre-labs, they do assessments, and all of that gets uploaded into the lab portal we call the Science Interactive Cloud. And then they submit the results via that, and that directly then syncs over to our learning platform, which is Canvas for Upjohn University. And I just want to really make sure that the message is absolutely clear to the audience. When we design our courses, when we teach our courses, when we hire our faculty, we have a lot of commitments, and the commitment to quality is our strategic pillar to success. We really focus on student success. We focus on alignment with in-person courses. We do offer both modalities, virtual and hands-on, because both experiences give students different types of skill sets. We align our course objectives with the residential course objectives, so there's equitable course content. We make sure that the courses have high academic rigor. They're developed by subject matter experts who have been working in the field for many years with terminal degrees. And then we use our commitment to quality in our marketing and communication strategies as well. This it takes a village to become successful. I would say that the chemistry offerings at Doane University online offerings are extremely successful. One of the most successful courses that we offer. And this wouldn't be possible without the hard work of many, many people that contribute to the success, including our Doane University Online Academy Assistant Director, Kelly Brannigan, the chemistry department, who has worked very, very hard, hand in hand with our online platform to make sure these courses are equitable, the instructional design team and the Canvas administrators at Doane University, as well as our direct customer service associate who's always there hand in hand troubleshooting, Scott Walker.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you, Erin, and congratulations to everyone in the Doane Chemistry and Online Education team for winning the award today. Our final winner is Dr. Charles Marietta, who is a faculty member in the Forensic Science program at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Dr. Charles Marietta brings nearly 2 decades of analytical research experience to forensic science. He holds a PhD in lipid biochemistry and metabolism from the University of Wyoming and joined the forensic science faculty at UNL in 2022. He teaches forensic toxicology, forensic chemistry, laboratory safety, and other core courses, bridging theoretical foundations with practical applications of modern forensic technique. Charles, I'll hand things over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you to Science Interactive for that very generous award and great introduction. As was mentioned, I'm at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and I work in the Forensic Science program. We're a small program, but we, as you'll see here in a second, we're a growing program, and we have a number of students who've graduated who have placed very well in professional positions. Currently, I teach Intro to Forensic Science Lab, forensic seminar, as you can see here. Our introduction course, which is Forensic Science 120, typically has around 100 students each fall. So our incoming class this fall is going to be around 100 students. And the lab section that is attached to that lecture has about 25 students per section. Those sections are full. And so every section has 25 students, with the balance of the students going into the online section. And typically, our courses are in person with hands-on laboratories, which we really want to emphasize. This is where the Science Interactive kit comes in really, really handy and vital just for logistics operation of the laboratories. Most of our students are forensic science majors. Some of them are non-majors, and they can take this intro class, which I'll be focusing on in this talk, to complete science core requirements. So forensic science at UNL, we only have 4 teaching faculty. We're only an undergraduate program. We don't have any graduate students. Totally across 3 tracks of study, we have around 225 to 250 students. These tracks are CSI for students who want to study how to go out in the field, process crime scenes, and then the chemistry and biology tracks where students learn how to analyze unknown white powders, DNA profiles, and things like that. And as I mentioned, this is a Bachelor of Science degree. So the students, after 4 years, completing 120 credit hours, obtain a Bachelor of Science degree. It's a very science-heavy curriculum. Students take chemistry, biology, organic chemistry, calculus, a full year of calculus, physics, in addition to, in their curriculum, upper division forensic science courses such as advanced fingerprints, photography, forensic chemistry, and things like that. As I mentioned, we have had a number of successful alumni from our program. Currently, we have alumni who hold positions with the FBI, the State of Nebraska Crime Lab. We have 4 alumni there, and I believe we have 2 up in South Dakota. And there are other alumni in various other analytical laboratories in the United States. So our Intro to Forensic Science, Forensics 120 with the accompanying laboratory, this is their first semester of their first year. So we dive right in this coming fall semester. Typically, it's a large class. As I mentioned, we have this coming fall around 100 students coming in. So it's a large lecture hall, and the labs are divided across 5 sections. This is the first semester of their freshman year, and we dive in. This gives them the 10,000-foot view of forensic science. They learn very quickly that this is not like on television. You're not going to get in your sports car, go down to the beach, look at a couple fingerprints, and then head on home. It's, like I said, it's a very science-heavy program, but we dive in. The freshman class is the largest, and throughout their curriculum, we really emphasize hands-on learning. So by the time our students graduate, they've had a lot of hands-on experience, how to do fingerprints, how to run a microscope, what does a mass spec do, things like that. So they usually interview very well for internships and also for job placement. And as I mentioned before, their first semester of their first year, they're taking the other core classes. They're taking general chemistry, they're taking calculus. So they're quite busy in their first semester of their first year in their tenure here. So the first lab exercise in this 120 lab, essentially we started our crime scene house. We're fortunate enough to have about a half acre of land here on East Campus in Lincoln with a house on it. And we use that as our property, our outdoor laboratory, where we can set up essentially any crime that we want, mock crime scene. And we send the students out, we teach them how to process crime scenes. So the first lab exercise for these incoming first-year students, which will be this fall, they process a crime scene. We set up mock crime scenes, about 6 or 8 of them on the property, and we divide up students and we give them assignments we need to map the crime scene, you need to create the inventory of crime scene, you need to create the chain of custody, you need to photograph the crime scene, and so forth. And then at the very end, you write a report. So really this immerses them in that hands-on, this is forensic science, this is what you do. And then the remainder of the semester, this is where the Science Interactive Kit comes in. So they've inventoried at the first laboratory from the crime scene house, plastic bottles with fingerprints, empty bullet casings, maybe a knife or a tool or something like that. The remainder of the semester, using the Science Interactive Kit, is to process and analyze all of those items that they inventoried at the crime scene house at the very beginning. And this is really handy because the Science Interactive Kit has everything the students need for the entire semester. And I just checked, our bookstore has them in stock. They're ready to order. Send an email out to the incoming students saying, hey, the kit's in the bookstore, it's ready to be ordered. It is required for the lab. You must order it and you bring it to your first class meeting. The exercises are scheduled in parallel to the lecture, which is on separate days. So if the lecture they talk about fingerprints, we can study fingerprints in that week's lab session. And this lab also lays a really good foundation for all of their upper division classes, regardless of what track they're in. So we look at everything from unknown white powders to fingerprints, introduction to electrophoresis, empty bullet casings, and things like that. So this intro 120 lab gives them a really, really good foundation for the remainder of their tenure in forensic science. So the Science Interactive Kit that we use has 2 components to it, essentially the online interface, which outlines all of the lab exercises and really allows for us to organize the lab in the order that we need to parallel the lecture, as I mentioned. The students can access the labs quickly, and as you saw in the previous picture, they have their laptops out, they have their kits out, their lab coats on, gloves, safety glasses, and we go. Excuse me. Assignments are submitted electronically through the online interface, and the grading is easy because, again, as was mentioned earlier in a previous talk, our LMS is Canvas also. It uplinks and links to Canvas, so grading is very easy. The kit contents allow for immersive experiences. Students really learn how to do a 10-print card. They really learn how to use a microscope, how to do bullet trajectories and things like that. So logistically for us, with so many students, this kit makes it a lot easier to set up and clean up laboratory sessions. which would not be possible if we didn't have this kit. It would just be logistically a nightmare. And thankfully, the exercises are very well organized and they're completed within the allotted time, which is about 2 hours, a little less than 2 hours. So the students come in, they have we give a little talk. This is what we're doing today. They open their computers, go to the exercise, get out their kits, do the exercises, essentially following the bouncing ball, and then complete the exercises, write the report, and then turn it in electronically. Our students typically really enjoy our labs. None of our forensic science classes are what we would call weed out classes. I leave that to chemistry and calculus and all those larger science classes, core classes. They really love our online classes in the Science Interactive kits. Everything is there in the kit. It's a hands-on immersive experience, so they really see, oh, this is a fingerprint. Oh, this is an empty bullet casing. Oh, these are unknown white powders. And it really enforces the information, reinforces the information that they learn in the lecture. So thankfully, we usually have very good students and they have a great time in the lab. They learn a lot and they're sorry when the semester is over.
Thank you so much, Charles, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Now, we are running up on time. We want to thank everyone who has submitted questions throughout the presentation and thank our panelists for jumping in to respond and share their insights. Certainly, we're happy to follow up with any questions that you may have down the road. But before we jump off today, we do want to announce our Golden Ticket giveaway winners. So in the spirit of the Golden Goggles, we're excited to award 5 attendees with our Golden Ticket with a $150 professional development stipend. Our winners today are Janine Gray, Ham Mabrouk, Sarah Freight, Tom Chain, and Brian Marlowe. A Science Interactive team member will be in touch with each of you to discuss the next steps for claiming your award. I want to thank everyone here who has attended today and joined us for the webinar. And one more very large congratulations to all of our winners. And thank you for all that you do to help extend science education to students who are online or on campus. We appreciate you and we're proud to be able to honor you today. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and have a wonderful rest of your week.